Welcome back to Alchemical Astrology. In the Northern Hemisphere, we have navigated beyond the halfway point of the harshest season of the year and are midway through February, which can be crucial for people with seasonal affective disorder. Mental health is paramount no matter what time of year we are living in, and I prepare every presentation with that priority in mind. For those of you new to this channel, I'm a traditional tropical porphyry house system astrologer, an alchemist and Jungian psychologist. My objective is to empower you with an understanding of the archetypal energies we possess within, which are reflected in our fractal universe on a macroscopic level. Before we unpack the mysteries unfolding in the month of February, made evident by our sky clock, I'd like to define what I mean by ascension, as this is a word being bandied about by the New Age community to a point of becoming cliché in its usage. Nature operates by a clearly visible mathematical pattern if you merely take the time to observe how anything grows. The most immediately recognizable example of this sequence, known as Fibonacci or the golden ratio, is the nautilus shell. But it can be observed everywhere. These images are living proof and constitute a small sample of this creative force in action all around us. Operating from this foundation, I would propose applying this same principle to our perception of time, and as such, we are in fact on a spiral upwards that I've referred to as the quickening. In many previous reports, I've mentioned our solar system being bathed in plasma. What evidence do I have to support this statement, and how does this apply to an energetic sequence lifting us to another level of consciousness? In 2010, astronomers referred to a phenomenon they observed in our solar system known as Fermi bubbles, named after the telescope that discovered them. You can see in this photo, they are massive gamma ray emitting formations above and below our Milky Way. There is still debate as to the origin of these structures, but as you can see from this subsequent photo, the bubbles have now broken out of containment, and as of 2013, we are swimming in these charged particles. If ever you needed a signature for the Aquarian age, I'd say this qualifies. The celestial water bearer is pouring out a godly brew of stardust that will undoubtedly impact our planet and all life on it. Our biology, much like every other light-dependent organism on Earth, functions on the basis of electromagnetic impulses. It has been demonstrated that our hearts are synchronized to the Schumann Resonance, the Earth's heartbeat, if you like. That level, which was steady for a long time at 7.83 Hertz, has been spiking consistently in recent times. This directly impacts our brainwaves and activates our DNA, which in my view is an opportunity to make an evolutionary leap in consciousness and facilitates heightened awareness. It expresses on a planetary level as a magnetic deconstruction, coupled with heightened solar activity as seen on this chart for January of 2023. As the sun undergoes a magnetic reversal, I'd venture to say the universe is telling us it is truly time to rise up via that spiral staircase. I am sharing ancient techniques that facilitate this process, and courses will soon be available on my website at spiritreading.ca. You can check in the show notes for further details. Before we can commit to this process, however, it will be necessary as a collective to complete the shadow work of the last 2 years and purge old ways of being. In a nutshell, this succinctly describes the energies presenting for the month of February. Just because all the planets are direct doesn't mean we've finished the janitorial tasks consistent with building a new paradigm. So let's unpack the archetypal landmarks delineated by the stars as we move from Aquarian to Piscean signatures in 2023. As always, I draw your attention to where the planets are located in the sky and what faces they are wearing this month from a heliacal perspective. First and foremost, I would be remiss not to mention the glowing green fireball designated as Comet C 2022 E3ZTF, blazing a trail in the night sky at its closest to Earth on February 1st, as you can see in this diagram. Right after the full moon presented on February 5th, you would have been able to spot it close to Zeta Aurigae, a star in the constellation which translates to the charioteer. By February 10th, it makes its way to Mars, at which point you can expect a rapid acceleration in aggressive behavior on the global stage. But fear not, as there are other factors to consider that are weighing in on this mundane saber-rattling contest. It is important to note that both malefic planets, Mars and Saturn, are fading in their intensity. Mars can be spotted moving eastward in the northern hemisphere as it orbits further away from the Earth, to be occluded again by the moon on February 27th. This will serve to temporarily unplug the energetic pipeline feeding any warmongering factions. To top this off, the evening star Venus, in her Aphrodite form, has soared past the sinking Saturn to join Neptune in Pisces right on Valentine's Day. Venus is exalted in the sign of the fishes, as it is the cool and moist environment from which the goddess sprang. She is swimming in the sea foam once again, collecting dreams and desires as she makes her way to meet with the greater benefic Jupiter in Aries on March 1st. This is a beautiful, magical well from which to drink for inspiration as we strategize a heart-centered plan to make manifest in 2023. Remember also, as I mentioned earlier in the lunar report, that the full moon in Leo on February 5th is marking the area in the sky she will be visiting for 3 months this summer, as she highlights another station of her 5-pointed star journey in the sign of the Lionheart. Mercury is still in its Promethean phase, appearing low in the southeast before dawn breaks on February 1st. At this point, he is past his maximum elongation in the west, which occurred on January 30th. While he is in this phase, he connects with Pluto in the final degrees of Capricorn. This is where the biggest opportunity to purge old thought patterns presents itself. Remember, Mercury is the solvent that facilitates transformation, and his dip into the underworld in the first week of February will offer revelations when it comes to cleaning out your mental cobwebs. On February 10th, Mercury ingresses into the sign of Aquarius and remains there for the rest of the month. And at the tail end of February, he conveys the information he dug up from Pluto and shares it with Saturn in the last degrees of Aquarius, thereby affording you the chance to implement these changes in a practical fashion. In my view, the key pivotal point of the month is the day Saturn goes combust and is in the heart of the sun on February 16th. He is Cazimi, hidden under the beams at this point, and is not visible in the sky. As the greater malefic, Saturn's disappearance has profound implications when it comes to the potential for big breakthroughs, both personally and for the collective. What has been restrictive, controlling, limiting, and authoritarian in its scope is now undergoing a Phoenix event. And this ties into what I was saying earlier. What emerges from the ashes largely depends on how you combine the messages presenting as a triple conjunction during the Pisces new moon on February 20th. I will do a separate report on the aspects presented during this lunation, but for now, I will review the impact of the Venus and Neptune dance for each rising sign, as this is where the heart is singing, and the Mercury conjunct Pluto aspect, as well as the ingress into Aquarius, and how this impacts the houses these planets land in, depending on your ascendant. Aries rising. Venus and Neptune are languishing in your 12th house of dreams and the subconscious. Pay close attention to the symbols that emerge during your sleeping hours, and keep a notebook by your bed in the event that an aha moment arises, so you can jot it down while you are still in a hypnagogic state. If you are a writer or artist of any kind, this will be a perfect moment to connect with your muse. Mercury, on the other hand, starts out in your 10th house of career, so your focus on housekeeping will be centered on your profession, or in some cases, it would be a parent who becomes an issue of contention if they attempt to restrain or limit your actions. Mercury's movement into Aquarius turns the spotlight on associations, organizations, and your relationship to the collective. Perhaps you need to do some tweaking with respect to how much energy you devote to others and how much you afford yourself, and look to achieve a balance between the two. Taurus rising. Venus and Neptune are doing the backstroke in your 11th house of friends. Fortify your alliances and find creative ways of networking with people who share your vision of the future. Meantime, Mercury starts out in a fellow Earth sign, juicing up your 9th house, where your search for meaning takes on a transformation. How you perceive the world and your notion of spirituality come into question, and this will directly impact your line of work as Mercury moves into your 10th house. This may be the time to find the courage to take that leap into the unknown and pursue a career that feeds your passion. Gemini rising. The sea god and Aphrodite are making waves in your 10th house of vocation and social status. Dream up an opportunity to get noticed by your boss or your clients, and see yourself being rewarded with a raise or promotion and accolades for your efforts. Mercury is starting out in your 8th house of partnerships, shared resources, taxes, and inheritances will be in your direct line of sight, and distribution of finances is undergoing an overhaul. As the 8th house is also the place of death and the rebirth, there is potentiality for estate matters and the role of executor of a will. If we look at it from another angle, it is also pointing to your capacity for intimacy. As in French, we call orgasms le petit mort. So this may lead to a thorough examination of what power and sex mean to you. Once Mercury moves into Aquarius, the spotlight shifts to your 9th house of philosophy and higher learning, so the things you've realized in the first half of February could alter your belief systems on a much broader level. Cancer rising. You water babies will be floating right along with Venus and Neptune in your 9th house of higher learning and long trips. Perhaps a voyage to a foreign land or connection to a person overseas would be something to add to your vision board. Expand your horizons and open yourself up to new cultures, even if that may just involve having a meal in a restaurant that offers exotic cuisine. Sign up for some courses you've been putting off due to lack of time or feelings of guilt. Indulge in beauty and give yourself permission to enjoy. Mercury the messenger meets Pluto in your 7th house of relationships. Is there a balanced energetic exchange with your personal and professional partnerships? Or do you need to reconsider how the give and take is playing itself out and make the appropriate changes? Mercury's move into the 8th house may mean a cutting of ties if an alliance is too toxic to redeem. Leo rising. The goddess of love and the lord of dreams are floating in your 8th house, giving you the courage to swim to safe shores and extricate yourself from sexual liaisons that have been traumatizing and more of a power grab than an authentic expression of intimacy. At the same time, Mercury is gathering data about your workplace and how you make yourself of service to others as it meets Pluto in your 6th house. It is also a direct message to pay attention to your health and be sure you are getting rest, exercise, and proper nutrition. This will come into play as Mercury moves into your 7th house of relationships, where the heart and head will converge on discovering new ways to relate to others that are more satisfying and mutually beneficial. Virgo rising. Aphrodite and Poseidon are splashing in your 7th house of partnerships, so affairs of the heart are uppermost on your priority list. Make the time to connect with people who are important to you and show them how much you care. Mercury is gaining insights from Pluto in your 5th house of creativity and self-expression. Have you been making time to play and allow yourself to kick up your heels and just chill? Romance is definitely in the air for you once you've done your purging around what pleasure means for you. Children are also represented by the 5th house, so they may be in the spotlight for those of you who have them. Mercury will be moving mid-month into your 6th house of health, and this is more likely a matter of mental well-being. So try to reduce stress factors. And if you're an introvert, give yourself time to withdraw and recharge your battery. Libra rising. You've got the goddess and god floating in your 6th house of work and routines. As an air sign, you can be all up in your head most of the time. So this is a signal to shut off the monkey mind and do a little daydreaming. Mercury starts in your 4th house of family and the home front. Wherever the dynamic is in need of some TLC, it would be a great relief for all parties to make the necessary changes that ensure everyone under the same roof is feeling safe and secure. If the foundation is unstable, then it may be time to build a new one. Mercury's sign change brings this shift into your 5th house, so once again, the children who live with you would be impacted directly by these modifications, and it may take some ingenuity to implement the changes without shocking or traumatizing all parties involved. Scorpio rising. Venus and Neptune are basking in the glow of your 5th house, funneling significant energy into your self-expression, recreational pursuits, and time with children. Give yourself over to the sheer joy of exploring the world through the eyes of a child. Rekindle the awe and wonder. This may be somewhat thwarted by Mercury and Pluto digging up the dirt in your 3rd house of siblings, neighbors, and all forms of communication. Don't get caught up in other people's dramas and make a point of socializing with positive people. Sagittarius rising. Love and pleasure are lit up in your 4th house of home and family. Make some time to create a space that reflects your inner landscape, and if that involves a renovation or a purchase of a new property, bring that into your dream time. Engage with family members and break bread together. Mercury is shining light on your 2nd house of finances, so take the time to evaluate how you want the year to play out in terms of resources and earnings. Restructure wherever you see the need, and when Mercury jumps into Aquarius, you will be able to communicate these changes to everyone involved from a place of power. Capricorn rising. Venus and Neptune have landed in your third house of siblings, neighbors, and exchange of information. As difficult as this might first appear for an earth sign ruled by Saturn, push the boundaries and watch the magic unfold. With Mercury starting in your first house, this is truly the mark of a new beginning. Consider repackaging yourself and presenting a new you to the world. If there was anything in your early childhood that was buried and is rising to be released, please take this as an opportunity to liberate yourself from old wounds, holding you back from expressing your most authentic self. Aquarius rising. The heart is singing in your second house of finances, possessions, and resources. Venus shines bright in this house and is sending you blessings if you choose to dive into new ways of earning that feed your soul. Use your imagination and take flight with the energies stirring up inspiration in your house of values. Before you can see this come to full fruition, it may take some reflecting in your 12th house where Mercury is meeting Pluto. What have you buried or hidden in your subconscious that may be driving the bus in terms of how you see yourself and where your self-esteem is wounded? This is serious work that you would do well to approach with great TLC, and permission to process is paramount. When Mercury moves into Aquarius, you will see a natural inclination to reinvent yourself. Pisces rising. The heart placement for you is in your first house of self-image and how you present yourself to the world. Perhaps you've been too busy looking after everyone else to make time for some self-care. Now is the time. Make this Valentine's Day all about what makes you feel good. Mercury in your 11th house of associations and the collective at large is going to influence the whole first house revamp as you take a cold hard look at who's treating you with respect and who may be feeding off your energy. Discerning between the two is a vital component to how you move forward in 2023 as Mercury moves into your 12th house of shadows and the unseen. This is the final house of the zodiac, so it points to a completion and the ending of a cycle. I hope this report has proven empowering for you as far as navigating your way through February. And I look forward to reconnecting for the new moon in Pisces report. If you would like a natal chart analysis or solar return interpretation, just email me at melusine@spiritreading.ca. I make no solicitations from social media and will only communicate with you when you make an inquiry.